This video is sponsored by Shark. I've been using robot vacuums for years, but the technology was just never quite there. I always had to go around and clean the corners or whatever the robot missed, and they were always more hands-on than I wanted. But I think the day has finally come where the technology seems to be good enough to do a great job cleaning my home and genuinely be hands-free for a month at a time. Like check this out. This is the brand new Shark PowerDetect NeverTouch Pro 2-in-1 Robot Vacuum and Mop. And it has a lot of really cool features in it that make it genuinely smarter than the previous ones I owned. Like for example, when it vacuums, it leaves the mop pad back on the home base. Then when it's time to mop, it automatically goes back, reattaches the mop, and while it's mopping, it detects where carpets are and lifts up the mop, like really lifts it up a lot. So for example, it doesn't clean up a ketchup mess and then smear that all over your rug. And for corners, well, this used to be a huge problem. I had a very popular robot vacuum, but my wife absolutely hated that because it never actually cleaned the corners. And this one here, well, it of course has the little spinning brush that most other vacuums do have, but it also shoots a little stream of air into the corner to push the dust into the robot's path and then suck it up while it's driving next to that, which is, in my opinion, really intelligent and really impressive. And then when it mops, it also gets the corners with the mop. It shifts the mop pad over by almost about an inch, and it can actually reach the corner perfectly as it goes along. So the mop's like scrubbing, it goes over to the side and scrubs over on the side, and you're able to clean every part of your house. It's really quite impressive. Just one feature after another that has really changed my mind about robot vacuums and robot mop. And I know most home bases claim to be hands-free, but Shark really takes it to another level here. Of course, it empties the dustbin as you would expect and refills the mop tank, but it also washes and dries the antimicrobial mop pad and even has an anti-odor air filter so it doesn't just blow out dust or odor into your house. Instead, you don't have any allergens, you don't have anything like that. It's quiet, it kind of sucks the dust out, and you don't smell anything. It's something that if you've had an older robot vacuum from some other brand, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get that smell when they clean out the dustbin. This, from what I've seen so far, absolutely does not do that. So, like I said, this is the brand new Shark PowerDetect NeverTouch Pro 2-in-1 Robot Vacuum and Mop. Now, I'll get into individual tests and examples, but let's start off with the setup, and I'll kind of explain how things work as we go through it. So when you first open up the box, you're going to take out the NeverTouch Pro base. You peel off a couple stickers, you plug it into your wall, and you just snap on the little ramp that the robot's going to drive up on when it's charging and emptying and doing stuff like that. This base has a lot going on here though. It's not just sucking out the dirt like I said. It also has two little tanks, as you can see the one on the right, which by the way I really like how they're transparent so you can actually see what the water levels are in them, but the one on the right is going to be your clean, the one on the left is your dirty. So on the right, when you first get this, you're going to want to fill that up. So you put in 12 ounces of solution and then fill the rest up with water up to the little max line, put that back in, and then you just put in the little anti-odor filter in the back, and the base is ready to go. Then for the robot itself, you could peel off a couple stickers, attach the brush on the bottom, and just place it on the base. You'll notice that the bristles on the bottom are actually a little bit different than some other robots out there. They're designed to be kind of self-cleaning and prevent tangles from hair or fur, so it kind of tapers down towards the center where you have that little metal bar. So yeah, installation, super easy. Then you just install the app and complete the setup. And it's gonna go and do its first run then. But the first run is just an exploratory run. The sensors on the front make up a map of your entire home and automatically detect different rooms, different floor types. It's also really good at detecting staircases and edges, so you don't have to worry about it falling off a cliff. And these sensors do a lot more, as you'll see pretty soon, but the accuracy and the speed of the mapping was just so impressive to me. So it had the whole home mapped in just a couple minutes. And once the map is complete, it tells you on your phone, you look at it, you could redefine the rooms if you want to add, split one room into two or add keep out zones or anything like that. And that's it. Your setup is then done. And there are 3 different cleaning modes you have available. The first one is vacuum, the second one is mop, and the third one is deep clean, which does a combination of both. It'll vacuum, then it'll go back, and it'll start mopping. So starting off with vacuum. For this one, the Shark PowerDetect robot leaves the mop pad on the NeverTouch Pro base, like I mentioned before. It automatically detaches it, leaves it behind, and this is great because if you have rugs or carpets, many other robots don't do this. The robot is also, interestingly, able to lift itself up surprisingly high, and as a result, it's really good at navigating tougher terrain, climbing onto carpets, and basically just never getting stuck, hence the the never stuck technology that they talk about with this device. And after using it for a little while now, I've seriously never seen it get stuck. As I mentioned before, the sensors do more than just map your home though. There's 5 main features that are kind of unlocked using the sensors on here. The first one is called Dirt Detect. Essentially, as it's going around vacuuming, it'll intelligently detect dirt, it'll boost the suction over that area, and increase the cleaning passes to make sure that it sucks up everything in that area. Compared to older robot vacuums that would just kind of randomly go around and just hope you got everything, this is essentially a much more intelligent way of doing it. The second feature that this sensor's unlocked is called Edge Detect. As I kind of alluded to earlier in this video, the Shark PowerDetect robot knows when it's near a corner or an edge, and it adjusts the cleaning accordingly. Like I said, shooting out a stream of air to kind of push the dust and the debris into the cleaning path of the robot. And from what I can tell, this seems to work really well. Like, I had my doubts and I thought they seemed like maybe curated examples or something, but in my own house, this, like I said, was the biggest problem with my previous robot vacuums. And the Shark does a great job. Like, you can see in this example here, it blows the dust, like it just blows the corner perfectly, gets the dust out in front of it, and then sucks it up. So you don't just rely on that little brush hitting the corner. I also noticed that, speaking of corners, it's much more gentle with corners. It doesn't just slam into every single corner like my old Roomba did. Okay, so that's 2 out of the 5 sensor features. There's 3 more, but they're related to the mopping aspect of the clean. So in mopping, the Shark PowerDetect robot goes back to the base, automatically installs the mop pad, which was, like I said, cleaned and dried already on the home base, and then it navigates to the non-carpeted areas for the mopping. And while it's navigating to the hard surfaces that it's going to mop, as you can see here, it like really tilts up a lot, and the back, like the mop is very far off the carpet, which is great. So your carpet won't get wet, and like I said, anything the mop is trying to pick up on hard surfaces is not going to get smeared on your white rug as it's going back to the home base. So I think that is very impressive there. And also, while it's mopping, in the app, there's no way to adjust the different amounts of water that it's using. Instead, it seems to know like the perfect amount. It kind of goes and oscillates and scrubs along. And when it's done, like you can see where it did mop, but you don't have excessive moisture or water on there, which is something that in the past I have seen, and that can be damaging to your floor. Now, by the way, when the vacuuming is done, before it even starts mopping, it is of course going to suck out the dustbin there, and it is impressively quiet. Like I said, the old robot vacuum I had from the brand I mentioned earlier sounded like a fighter jet was in my house. Like, it was so loud. If I was in a meeting upstairs on the opposite side of the building, I would get interrupted in my meeting because there was a really loud jet-like sound as he was emptying out the bin. This is much more subtle, much lower frequency, much less intrusive, and honestly, I don't even notice when it cleans it out. It's very, very quiet and pretty subtle, like I just mentioned. The robot also tells you what it's doing as it's doing different things, so if it goes back to the base and starts, cleaning the mop or something, the little speaker on here is going to announce what it's doing, so there's never confusion on what's actually happening. So that's one feature there, the ability to see where the carpets are. Lastly, you have Wet Edge Detect. As I mentioned earlier, when you're going around a corner, it detects the edges, it extends the mop pad by an inch to reach those corners essentially perfectly and clean all the way up and scrubbing all the way up to the edge of those. So those 3 modes are vacuum, mop, and deep clean. Oh, and you can also kind of have another one. You can spot clean as well, which I think is very interesting. On the app, if you go to spot, you want to do a spot clean, it gives you a map of your entire floor, everywhere that it did map already, and you can choose a little square of maybe where you spilled something or what you wanted to clean up. Maybe there's a footprint in the house, and it'll go over to that area and clean that entire area. So let's actually give that a try, and I'll kind of show you a little bit more of the testing with this, how well it works, and sound and stuff like that. Now, here you can listen and hear what it sounds like when it's cleaning the mop pad. So that is the Shark PowerDetect NeverTouch Pro 2-in-1 Robot Vacuum and Mop. If you guys want to check out the latest price or get one for yourself, I have a link down in the description below, as well as in a pinned comment, so be sure to check those out if you're considering getting one. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Mike O'Brien. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.